Hello everyone and welcome to Biohackers Lab. I'm your host Gary Kerwin, and on today's episode I have Tom the Conman Connors. Tom is regarded as one of the best professional streetball basketball players in the world. As an urban sports star, Tom has had an opportunity to entertain millions of people from center stage performances to TV shows worldwide. He is a multi-world record holder, currently holding 16 basketball world records, plus he is a UK and European street basketball champion. Tom, thanks so much for coming on for an episode for today.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I gave a little short intro of a long career that you've had doing street basketball so far. And yeah, as I said, you've had an opportunity to entertain millions of people worldwide, and I've watched some of your videos. I was just binge watching a bit more there this morning again before our interview, and it is incredible just when you watch someone like yourself being able to throw the basketball in incredible ways. It's always those viral videos you see online when this guy can stand up in the middle of somewhere, throw this basketball and still get it through the hoop, and you're that kind of person.
That's what I've dedicated all my life to, mate. Yeah. So it's been fun. It's amazing. I can't believe it's been my career for 15 years now. So
yeah, that is. And so the story we're going to be telling today is how you went at this pinnacle point where you've a multi-world record holder, and then unfortunately you got ill and it's knocked you down, and how you've had to try recover. And so that's where we're going to begin today. So if you wouldn't mind just explaining to listeners what exactly happened to you when you got sick.
It's about 2.5 years ago now. I was on my basketball stage show tour. It was in front of about 3,500 people, and I was doing a show every day. So I was driving, up to say 6 hours a day, a show, and you sign autographs, do pictures, which is great, but it just takes it out of you every day. And I think along the lines, maybe I wasn't looking after myself as best I could, but at some point through the tour, I just decided to collapse on stage in the middle of my live show, and I was out. Yeah, so it was kind of I couldn't believe it happened because I felt okay. I felt okay 2 minutes before it happened, and then after that, it was just a crazy journey. So, but that's where it happened. It happened live on stage in front of 3,500 people. I just collapsed on stage.
Wow. And so, as you said, you didn't know what happened to you. Like what? So I guess, did you have to get taken away by ambulance, and then the whole investigation as to what actually made you collapse started?
Well, I was actually about 6 hours away from home. So when I was out and I kind of woke up, everyone was around me from sort of behind the production team, some of my teammates, and I just felt like I just needed to sleep. So I felt awful, but I felt as tired as you could possibly imagine. I just felt exhausted. I just felt like I just needed to sleep. So it was kind of like I felt awful, but I didn't feel as though I was just about to die. It was a weird experience. So I actually managed to about 2 hours later, a friend I got literally held up each side with friends, and they put me in a car and they drove me home. So it was actually, I got back early hours of the morning, and I just slept, and then I woke up feeling a little bit better, and then I collapsed again. So I realized something wasn't quite right. I didn't know what it was at first, but so that's how it originally happened. I managed to get myself home to my wife, thankfully.
Wow. So you just thought it was exhaustion, or the people around you just thought it was exhaustion while you collapsed?
Yeah, I think that was probably the most sort of obvious thing, really, just from how grueling the tour was. But obviously I found out a little bit different that it wasn't, but we all thought that for sure.
Yeah. And so I guess from then, did you just go to your GP, or did you go to the hospital?
I actually went, so when I collapsed the day after, I went into hospital, and an ambulance into hospital, and I had loads of tests, and they came back and said, we can't find anything wrong. And I was like, you got to be kidding me, there's got to be something wrong. So I stayed in overnight, and then they sent me back home. And then I went back home. I stayed at home for about 3 days, and I just felt it just unbelievably awful. I kept saying, I know what's wrong. Something wrong. There's something wrong. And then I collapsed again about 3 days later, and had another ambulance take me back into hospital. And then I had some more tests, and then they found that I was there was a few metals that I wasn't sort of, and vitamins that were really low. So they gave me some stuff to sort of bump me back up, and they let me go again. And I was like, there's something they're missing. It was a really frustrating time, actually, because not just for me, my wife, my kids, it was just, why can't they find out what's wrong with me? And it was probably about 2 weeks of in and out of hospital, thinking that would be the best place for me. And they couldn't tell me what was wrong.
Wow. So who was it that finally diagnosed you? Because we haven't actually said what you were diagnosed with, but I'm trying to get to the storyline. Who was the person that actually finally got the diagnosis?
So I went to see a specialist private, and a neurological guy and a couple of the guys from a private hospital, where they all worked together because they knew something was wrong, which was great. So you don't see just one guy and then, that's it. You just get his opinion. It was kind of like I went around and sort of different specialists. And one of the sort of head guys there said, this is what we think you've got. You've got viral meningitis. And I didn't quite understand what, when you hear the word meningitis, you think, uh-oh, and he said viral. So I didn't quite understand. So I remember asking him, well, what's that? How does it work? And he just said, you just feel absolutely awful, exhaustion, to a point where, you literally feel like you are going to die. Your head's spinning. You're seeing white dots everywhere. You're breathing, you're panicking. It's awful. And, but yeah, I got the diagnosis. It's sort of there at the private hospital. And what was funny was they said, some people are better in 3 months. Some people are better in 6 months. It really affects different people very, very differently. And you'll just have to go on your journey and see what happens. And there's very little we can give you. So I remember leaving the hospital thinking, wow, I'm not going to have much help with this.
So, I mean, already for people listening in, it sounds like with viral meningitis, you don't get the rash then? Because a lot of people, when they think of meningitis, especially students, like university students, they're always told, watch out, you're going to get a rash, and then you might need to go off to the hospital and you could have meningitis, and that's a bacterial meningitis. With the viral one, you didn't have any other signs. You were perfectly fine, and then it was just the stage collapse.
Perfectly fine, yeah. And we did a 6-hour journey, so I felt tired when I got to the venue. And then you're setting up the stage and going through, obviously, the rehearsals of the show. I felt fine, absolutely fine. It was literally, it was near the end of the show, and I just felt like instantly like, oh, I don't feel right on my feet here. You feel like you're gonna faint, and you just feel out of breath. You just feel instantly exhausted, like you've run a marathon instantly. It was unbelievable. Yeah, it's been hell the last 2 years with it, as we'll get into it. But yeah, there's no signs. No one's, you're just fine 1 minute and the next you're not. It's crazy.
Yeah. And so what was the treatment then that these specialists, once they came up with a diagnosis, did they just go, because it's a virus, we can't give you anything, just make sure that you get a lot of rest, water, eat well, and just rest, and hopefully in 3 to 6 months you'll be fine?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. And obviously, normal things like, maybe bump your vitamins up, make sure you eat healthy. But, as an athlete, I always try to do that anyway. But when I went on a personal journey after, I always found myself, when I juiced, rather than sort of maybe just have, say, a carrot juice or an apple, kiwi and cucumber, which is nice, I would juice 15 things. And it was horrible, and I would just down, maybe 3 pints of this a day. And I always had a pick me up, it got me through another hour. But just to sort of explain a little bit about it, this is how my life's been. You absolutely fine. You can wake up in the morning, your energy's fine. You can have a shower, you can get ready. I can drive the kids to school. And then exactly what happened on stage, within a second, you feel absolutely gone. The energy is on the floor, your eyesight goes, you go pale. I mean, you literally go as white as a ghost. I look in the mirror and I'm like, uh-oh, here it comes. And if you don't sit down within, a minute, you're going to collapse. So, and then I just sleep. I mean, it's a crazy thing. I remember my wife saying to me, I was like, yeah, I was chatting away. I actually went to the toilet. and then I didn't come out of the toilet. She had to come in. I was on the floor, like it happened while I was on the toilet. I couldn't get back up to get to bed. And I just felt I needed to sleep. I need to sleep. I need to sleep now. Quick, quick, quick. And I just remember lying on the floor in the bathroom. My wife came in. Was like, what the hell, and I remember just sleeping there for like 4 hours, and then when I wake up, you've got enough energy to get yourself back to bed, eat some food, and hopefully get some more rest. And then when you wake up, you might be okay for another hour. I mean, it honestly, God, when I try to explain to people what it was like, they can't really grasp it, because it's so difficult. It's so difficult because you don't know when it's going to come. I could drive the kids to school. I remember driving the kids to school. I had to pull over on a lay-by, put the seat down almost flat and sleep. I literally couldn't. When you're that tired and that exhausted and you're pale and you can't see, you just have to sleep. It's crazy, man. It really is a crazy thing for me, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, that's so disabling. Just from a day-to-day and living point of view, as you said, that you thought you were fine, you're able to interact with your family, do stuff, but then within seconds you're just man down, and that's it. You're out for hours.
Yeah, it's great. I remember, when as the weeks were going on, it was literally, I felt as though every month that went by, I said, I'm 1% better. So if I was 100% ill, by one month, I'd say to my wife, I'm 99%. It was that slower journey for me to get better. And I'm juicing, I'm getting the organic stuff. I'm taking in all of the good gut stuff, the kefirs, you name it. I'm taking it. I'm eating super healthy, and nothing really helped long term, if that makes sense. It was always a short burst, of like 20 minutes that you're good, and then you're back to square one.
Yeah, so it sounds like you try to use nutrition to begin with, and maybe some supplements like probiotics or multivits, and as you said, it just gave you little bursts of energy. When was it that you decided, okay, this is just not working, I need to do something else? Was it only after the 3 to 6 months after the initial diagnosis when you were like, I'm still nowhere near full recovery, that this is frustrating?
It was actually, it was August 2016 I got it. And by the following August, I was probably, no joke, I was probably right. Like I kept saying, I was 1% better every month. I was literally 88%. It was that slow a procedure, and also it was ruined my career. I just couldn't get to the events. I lost my sponsorship deal. Me and my wife had we had nice cars, and all, that kind of stuff. All of it had to go. It was, after that year, I was in panic mode. What am I going to do now? Because I'm not getting better. I'm not getting better fast enough. I scraped through until November, and so my wife, we were trying for IVF, and we had researched that having some acupuncture can help, that journey. So it was something that we'd looked at it. We have like osteopaths and chiropractors, and I was doing all that as well, but we never looked at needling as a form of help. So when we went to see this guy for my wife, and obviously my story came up, and he said, "Oh, I can really help with this. I think I can help with getting you better." So I was like, I'm at a point where I'll try anything, So after my wife had treatment for the IVF, I stayed and had treatment, and yeah, that's when everything changed for me. That was the beginning of the journey to be getting better.
And so what was it like after that first session of acupuncture?
Oh, I never forget the first one because it was awful. I remember having because he was honest. He was like, we have to try and figure out where your body is struggling. What parts of your body are. It's the whole kind of yin yang thing. When something's out, you've got to find out what it is. And he said it's going to be a long journey. So I was like, yeah, let's go for it. So yeah, we had the first one. By the time I'd got home, which was only a short journey, maybe 10 minutes, I felt just as bad as what I did the first time. I thought the meningitis was back. I genuinely thought I couldn't see anything. I was pale. the 15% I'd got better had gone. I was like, no, this is awful. And I remember calling him saying, I know it's laughable sometimes. Like, I think I'm going to die. I think I'm going to die. Like, you feel that bad. I mean, it's incredible. So he said, this is great news. I was like, well, it's not great news for me, mate. But he said it's great news because what he did had such an impact that if we just figure out the jigsaw puzzle, we can try and put you back together again. And I think for me, that was a sign of trust to him that actually, yeah, this if he has this much impact, maybe we can go on this journey together and try and work this out. So it was absolutely awful the first time I had it, man. It was really bad.
Well, I think that's good like actionable tip there for anyone listening who might be trying to do the same, because it sounds like with your viral meningitis, it's something else that a lot of people have to deal with, like I don't know if you know something called autoimmune conditions, Lyme's disease, chronic fatigue syndrome. It sounds like you just had a very severe form of that where, as you said, you just suddenly, there's no energy in the system and you just have to sleep. So having treatment can actually stimulate that feeling again, it sounds like.
Massively. And I remember going back. It was probably when we went back, he changed what he did, and it's called remove damp. And he was like, we tried to strengthen, and your body wasn't in a situation to strengthen. So we were like, okay, let's not strengthen anything yet. Let's try and remove some of these things that are in your system. And part of this is called removing damp from different areas of your body, your spleen, your kidneys. You can remove this thing called damp. So we tried to target the certain parts of the body. The kidneys were great for me. The spleen was great for me. When he changed what he did the next week, because I seen him every single week, I still see him now, is when we changed it, I instantly went back to being how I was when I seen him, and a little bit better. So it was the second week, I was like, oh wow, I feel like even a bit better than when I did when I came. And what's really interesting about it is I would see him at 1 o'clock, I'd leave at 2 o'clock, and by 10 past 2, I'm starting to feel better. I mean, it was that quicker, which I looked at my wife, I was like, wow, man, this really, really can work. I think sometimes everyone's more sort of skeptical, isn't it, about, these things sometimes, and each to their own. But, you have to try these things. For me, it was instant. And the minute we start removing damp and removing these problems, I started to get better and better and better. So yeah, that's how it all started.
Mm-hmm. And are you okay with needles? I mean, what was it like that first time when you're having acupuncture? How does it feel? And where did he have to put the needles? Like in your face, your ear, down to your feet?
Now it's kind of like if you're strengthening something, it's which is great because the needles are in and out, so they target my feet area. There's kidney channels, there's spleen channels, there's liver channels, there's different channels that run down your legs, that down your arms. So we have tried a few in the face here and there, but primarily the ones for me are in my feet and my arms. It doesn't really hurt. Sometimes you can have it's not kind of pain. It's probably a bit of a weird sensation. So when you're strengthening, the needles go in and back out almost instantly, so you don't really feel anything. When you're removing damp, or you want to remove or get your blood flowing and all the rest of it, you have to leave the needles in for quite a while, maybe 5-10 minutes. So you're led there with all the, some needles, in really kind of points where you think if the needle's going to go any further, it's quite worrying, So you got needles in your forearms, your hands, your feet, and you just lie there. And I remember times where I'm like, I really want to itch my nose, or I really want to cough, and I just won't, because I just stay there like a mummy, just in case these needles go anywhere they're not supposed to. So it is a bit weird, but it doesn't really hurt. It sometimes can be, very rarely it will hurt, but they would take it out and put it back in, and it's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so when you were saying that you could feel that nice feelings 10 minutes after you finished the session, how was your sleep that evening too? Did you find that your sleep pattern changed in any way?
Yeah. Well, what I did, it was kind of all at the same time, which was a great way of monitoring whether I was really getting better. Because what I would do every night is I would, about 11 o'clock at night, I'd always go for a walk around my estate. And most of the time I couldn't make it all the way around, so I'd use the shortcut to come back home. But I would always just see where my energy was at. So as I was seeing Paul, and he's the gentleman who's sticking needles in me. We every night I would go and test and see I felt better in myself, like you said, almost instantly. So maybe I could push myself a little bit. And I think as an athlete, Paul and my wife were like, you got to try and rest. And it's not in my nature, man. I want to be the best. I want to push myself. So I would go off and do these walks, and slowly but surely you would do, half a lap of the estate, and you do 45%, and then I'd do one lap, and I'm like, wow, I made it round, and I'm just walking. So this was awesome. And then slowly but surely, we would do 2 laps and 3 laps. And I remember then when we started to medal, we're like, hey, let's strengthen now. Let's, I think your body's at a situation where we can start strengthening these parts of your body. We would strengthen, and I would have a crash. Again, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm ill, I can't move. I mean, it was kind of this, it's like being literally slammed with it's instant. I go home, I felt awful. By 3 o'clock, I'm asleep. We would change what we were doing, we'd remove. So we removed for a long time until we really felt that my body was good to strengthen. And then we started strengthening. And rather than crashing, I just started to get better and better. And we're still on that strengthening journey. We haven't removed anything now for about 6 months. And now I'm running around the block. I'm playing, I'm back playing, I'm back doing video shoots, I'm back doing TV shows. There's times where I feel a little bit like, I shouldn't push myself here, or I'm worried about it, but it hasn't come back. And I think I'm just sort of still picking the jobs that come in. Anything that's really, really too much, I think I still stay away from. But on a whole, I feel I'm back, I'm better. So that's how I gauged it. There's wonderful laps around my estate.
And would you feel then it's the acupuncture for you that's been the biggest thing that you've, because it sounds like you've had one treatment a week weekly since that period in 2017, was it late 2017?
It was November 2017. So it's, coming up obviously a year.
Mm-hmm. So it's, and as you mentioned, there was that removing the damp process. So you had to go through a period of time until both you and the practitioner felt that you were at the stage where you could start strengthening again. And I guess that's going to be variable for every single person. Exactly.
And what was frustrating was that, when I was researching this throughout the months of having this problem, some people were like, I had viral meningitis and I was back on my feet and work within, 8 weeks. I'm like, damn, like this is 18 months, and I can't walk around the block. And I found it was very emotional sometimes, man. It was a really difficult time because, you can't play with the kids. You can't take them somewhere. I remember me and my wife trying to, we took them out for it was Sophia's birthday, and we gave them £150 each, and we were like, hey, let's just go out and spend whatever you want. It was just a nice fun day. And within sort of 20 minutes of being in somewhere with bright lights, the lights were affecting me. I had to sit down 100 times, and I just felt I went through many times like that. It was really tough, man.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, yeah, when you're so physical and you can't even be out with your family and just enjoying that time with your kids.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with the job. Obviously, if I couldn't get to the court to practice, if I went, 5 minutes, and I'm like, I need to go home. I keep trying to push myself. I was just, let's go back. And the minute I sort of seen some improvement through Paul and the acupuncture, I remember getting very emotional about it because my body responded, and it was just an awesome feeling, man. And I love that guy, man, that Paul. I'm telling you, man, I can't praise this guy enough, man.
Yeah. So for you still, because with meningitis, light is one of the factors that you become sensitive to, and it sounds like even there, because if someone doesn't realize where meningitis is, it affects your central nervous system, your brain, and I think it's just your brain. I don't think it goes down to the meninges, the spinal cord, no, just the brain. But so it sounds like the light still affects your energy levels. That if it's a bad light, like a fluorescent harsh light, I'm guessing, that just zaps your energy levels fast.
100%. Yeah, and you know what? Most basketball courts have these huge bright lights inside, and I remember going to events thinking I'm better. Like I'm great, I'm back doing what I love to do, what I'm meant to do. And I remember getting to an event, and within, moments I'm like, oh wow, the lights are really bothering me, it's the light. I don't know what it is about the lights. It's a really horrible. It zaps you completely, and you can't see properly, and it's so difficult to explain. You just feel like you're just a bit of a zombie walking around, and you can't see much,
Have you ever got into trying to wear different kinds of lenses to filter the light? Have you experimented with that yet?
Yeah. When we went on a holiday, actually, the sunglasses inside the shopping center, because we were abroad, so it was hot and nice. So I was wearing sunglasses, and I noticed actually if I had them on, it certainly improves. It certainly improves that. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I'd be interested, because I'm not wearing mine right now because it's still the daytime. But like even some blue blockers, these yellow lenses, I'd be interested to maybe experiment with you and just see if you wore a pair of blue blocking glasses on the basketball court. If you felt, because the idea with that is it's meant to filter out the blue light waves, and maybe that's an energy thing. That would be a very easy experiment for you to play with, that you wear these blue blocking glasses on court and see if that helps you. So
do you know what, I genuinely think that they would. I really do. Yeah, for sure. I think even now, at most basketball courts, I'm okay. I did a video shoot last Sunday at a basketball court, and I thought, all these lights are not good for me, and I thought, I was worried about it, but thankfully my body, coped with it, and I managed to do the shoot. So, like I said, it's just about sort of managing it a little bit. So, perhaps these glasses, I'm happy to try anything, man. To get back 100%.
Yeah, fantastic. And I mean that is such an important factor, because you're going to look for these things that will make you feel worse. And unfortunately, it sounds like on the basketball court where you have to perform, the simple thing like the lighting is the stimulus potentially. And I guess for you, it's sounding, as you talked about the emotional aspect, you wouldn't want that fear that, I've got to first assess basketball courts to see if I can actually perform. You don't want to have that, because you just want to be in a psychological state where you're like that Red Bull athlete, you're in the flow state. You don't want to be thinking about, oh no, just those lights again, and they're going to zap me. You just want to be in that flow state, like, I'm ready to perform today.
Yeah, 100%. And even being back on stage, and doing my basketball stage show tour, there's probably something a little bit, obviously huge lights on you. You're sweating, and you can't really see the crowd sometimes because the lights are so much. And I think maybe subconsciously, I'm always worried about whether it's going to hit me or not. And at times, of course, obviously through the journey, it has. I've done loads of shows where I've had to cut the show short, or I've not been able to do as much as what I wanted. So it's definitely been. There's lots of factors, the lights, of course, but the minute you find your energy dips, I'm quickly back, like, where perhaps I've not slept well that day, or perhaps I didn't have the right breakfast, or I skipped breakfast or something. So I've probably got to deal with quite a few things more subconsciously now. That everything is okay. I am continuously getting better, and actually, I progressed. And like I said, last weekend when I shot that video on the basketball court, and I thought, within 5 minutes, I was like, these lights are going to bother me, and I feel it starting to bother me, and for some reason, my body didn't allow it to get to that point, and that's when you're getting better,
Mm-hmm. And have you had to experiment with anything else since? Do you feel that you want to add anything else along with the acupuncture now, or do you feel this is the route to just stay on? I'm just
I think I obviously see an osteopath and chiropractor, which for my body in itself, the benefits I have from that personally are phenomenal. But they're very muscular or skeletal sort of ways, like the food, the juicing, everything is part of what I do, and I do believe all of it helps. But nothing helped the way acupuncture was. I mean, like I said, you might juicing 15 things like broccoli, kiwis, carrots, whatever, and it was a mash of disgustingness. Like, I'm a celeb, get me out of here stuff. It was, it was horrible. But for 20 minutes, for half an hour, I felt great. But the acupuncture man was just on another level, and I'm always looking for other things potentially to try. I tried a few other things. If you want me to briefly mention, I tried. I can't remember what it's flipping called, but they put this machine, or this crystal machine, around you, and a computer reads the waves, the bouncing stuff that's happening. I can't remember what it's called. You may know, but the the machine then comes up and says, you shouldn't have this, you've got this problem. And it came up with, fatigue, exhaustion, and, some of the minerals I was missing from the hospital. And it nailed, what I was like, wow, flipping heck, this is amazing. And I didn't tell the lady either what was wrong. I didn't want to say nothing. So, they gave me some crystals to wear, and I wore the crystals as well. But when I felt bad, it was like, it just those things didn't help. I always felt like sort of water surface level, where the acupuncture went deep. Yeah, I'm going to stick with the acupuncture, my man.
Okay, fantastic. And when you were mentioning there with the light too, especially with your skill there, your what's the term is proprioception, like your body awareness must be amazing. That's how you can do these tricks. Has this meningitis affected that system of this just sixth sense awareness of where the basketball is or the hoop is? Have you found any changes with that?
No, I didn't really find any I didn't find that a problem, if I'm honest. What I found the problem was that with doing certain trick shots or trickery or playing, that because the energy would go so fast, you quickly realize, I couldn't throw the ball from here, for example, to there. So for example, when someone's paying you, to go and do a video shoot and they want you to do these trick shots, and I'm sat there like writing out how far they are. Maybe I should do the long ones first. Maybe that's going to tire me out. Maybe I should do this one first. That's what it was like, So it wasn't so much the lights and those things affected my skill level at all. It was purely that on an energetic level of exhaustion, when you're throwing the ball 70 feet, or you're throwing it off walls, or you're doing these tricks, you die very quickly with the energy levels, and then obviously your skill levels just goes. It's just like if you play football for 80 minutes, you're not going to be as good on the 80th minute than you are, the 10th minute. It's that kind of thing.
Okay, well, it's good to hear that your skill level's still there. It's just the energy, really, that's the thing that needs managing the most. So what percentage do you think you're up to now? If you had to think back to that percentage scale that you were talking about earlier, where would you think you are maybe now?
I would say I reckon about 15%. I've got 15% left to gather somewhere. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah. Listen, like I said, I can play with the kids. My wife, we just had a baby. He's 8 weeks old, and when we had the baby, and unfortunately, I had quite severe reflux and colic, so it was crying a lot, and it wasn't sleeping very much. And I remember sort of like after like 10 days, and I was not sleeping at all, and I was like, oh man, I think I'm gonna get ill. I think I'm gonna get ill again. And I remember just almost in panic state. I can't be ill. And to go through now 8 weeks, the baby's just coming out of that stage. We've had very, very little sleep for 8 weeks. And I'm talking like 2 hours sleep, maybe 4 hours late, you grab an hour. Yeah, I mean, extremely broken, probably 3.5 hours of sleep in 24 hours, maybe 4 hours, awful. And we've had a lot of family over to help and stuff as well. And to be 8 weeks in, and for me to say, well, I played basketball last Sunday I played yesterday for 2 hours. I went to an event yesterday for 2 hours. I played. I was fine, and to go through the tiredness and the exhaustion and maybe not eating perhaps the way you should. When you got a baby, things don't quite often go to plan. You got to just eat when you can and eat what you can, grab what you can. So that's where I'm like, I'm so much better, because obviously, many months ago, that would have absolutely put me back to square one, no sleep. And obviously I'm getting very, very little sleep, and I'm still up taking the kids to school, playing with the kids. I'm doing events. I'm doing my social media again. I'm filming all over the world. And I've just got to manage that 15%. I've got to make sure I eat well before the events. I've got to take the juice in. I've got to take my protein drinks. I still got to do all those things, just in case I do have that slight crash. So hopefully the 15% can keep improving, and I can get back to how I was before.
Mm-hmm. Have you met any other people who've been in a similar situation as you to bounce off, or like support wise? I'm just thinking here.
Yeah, no, my wife mentioned it because she's gone through a journey of herself with a few things, and she found speaking with people helpful, but that's not kind of in my personality. I'm kind of like, that's fine. I'm getting better. Let's just keep grinding and keep doing it. So no, not for me. That probably wouldn't work for me.
Okay. And yeah, I mean, what was it like with the street ball basketball community? Did Did you get any
No
support
one
from
knows. No one knows. This is the
Wow.
first time. This is the first time in 2.5 years that it's out. First time. Because I'll tell you why. Because when I'm the face of Coca-Cola at the minute. We've been, I'm doing Paco. I'm doing my TV series on Amazon Prime. And there's a lot of things happening. There's sponsorship deals being discussed. There's tours, and I have to feed my family. I have to look after my family, and you can't be mentioning, you're not as fit, you're not healthy, you're unwell, anything like that to get out could potentially really harm my career. And we'd already lost enough because I couldn't work for, best part of a year and a half, 18 months. I couldn't do anything. So we like I said, we lost a lot, including, like I said, our lifestyle. And we really had to come back to sort of ground one and build up. So yeah, man. It's been a one heck of a journey.
Yeah, and well, it's good to hear that you're at that level again, that you're able to do all your performances, get the sponsors back, because that is your livelihood. So,
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I'm saying. This is the first time now I'm better. So I'm like, hey, I went through, a bad period, and I'm like, I'm back, and there's so much planned for next year. Is ridiculous. We've got so much on. And there's part of me that's a little bit worried about it because there's so much on, and am I really truly better? Like, obviously I've been better for a long time. Like I said, it's subconscious. I just need to get that subconscious stuff removed, and we just need to go for it. So, but yeah, I'm happy to tell people my story now.
Okay. And yeah, I mean, that's the whole idea behind this episode today, because I want, if anyone has viral meningitis or knows someone that has, they can relate to your story now and sort of the process that you've gone through. Are there any other sort of hints or tips that if someone who's listening to this has just got that diagnosis like you got and went, just wait it out 3 to 6 months, you'll be fine. Would you say, yeah, maybe I'd try this, in the meantime, just so that you're not 18 months later and you're still not fine?
I think the thing is, like, when you're listening to professionals, like you go into hospital, you think you're in the right place, and they're testing for whatever they're testing, and they're coming back and saying it's okay. I think it took a long time for me to get somebody to actually think slightly different. And like I said, it took a team of doctors privately. For me, it took the private route to get the answers. For someone else, maybe, that might be completely different. But I would certainly, if go down that route if you can, to try and just get that extra care and a private thing, and just try and open your mind, because my mind was very closed off many years ago. Acupuncture doesn't work. Chiropractor, what are you going to see a chiropractor for? I was very much like that, and my journey has taken me to a different place where flipping heck, crystals are telling me what's wrong with me. I'm not telling them what's wrong with me. The chiropractor thing has been phenomenal for me. And obviously the acupuncture with the yin yang and removing damp from my spleen made me go and play basketball for 6 hours. Like, what the hell is a spleen? What I'm trying to say is open your mind to alternative things that can get you better. Sometimes the Western medicine is amazing. Don't get me wrong; it can save your life in many terms. But you have to look alternatively when you have something that somebody says to you, "I can't help you." And the Western medicine often says things with viral, these problems, whether it's muscular problems or whatever. There's nothing we can do for you. Research other things, try things. There's no harm in trying something. And for me, just open your mind, get to these places, have a look at what's in your city, and go and try something. Because if I had done that a lot quicker, perhaps I would have not lost a year of my career. Perhaps we would have kept the houses and the cars, and perhaps we would be in a much better situation than we are now if I just opened my mind a bit to say, well, okay, let's go and alternatively look at some other ways of treatment. Mm-hmm. So that's my advice. For sure.
Well, that's biohacking. That's N=1, self-experimentation. And if there's something you do and you get the result, hey, it worked. That was the best thing that your body needed. So it's fantastic that you found that. And it sounds like with the kind of acupuncture that you've had, because I know that some people, when they listen to this, they'll think, but I know a practitioner who needles me. Could be a chiropractor, physiotherapist, osteopath, or any kind of person, but what you're talking about is traditional Chinese medicine, where they're looking at the energy meridians and they're doing all these different things. So it's that kind of practitioner that maybe someone should be looking to consult with.
Definitely, yeah, yeah. Sorry, I didn't. I should have said that earlier on because I've had acupuncture through my osteopath for my muscles. Like it's a completely different, way of looking at the system. Yeah, traditional, old style. Removing heat. All of the six elements. Water, fire, all those things. For me, that's where you go, and you're going to get some massive results. And I don't think just for what my problem, my wife's migraines and endometriosis that we see poor for has got better. Also, my family members went for another condition, and it did take 6 months, but we got there in the end because, the doctors are like, take this tablet, take this tablet, take this tablet, take this tablet. And now, those guys are not on tablets. They tried this old style, way of acupuncture. It's been phenomenal for not just me, but a few other people as well. So.
And any herbs? Have you had to take any sort of traditional Chinese medicine, actual medicines like herbs or spices or something?
No, I haven't. I mean, they're things I try myself. That I do. I take certain different oils in and then different sort of herbs and bits and pieces. That's just through research for that I wanted to add to it. Something that the acupuncture is so powerful in itself because it's tackling deep within the body that I do find anything that you add is they're just little tiny bonuses. So again, it's if you want to take them, research them, maybe try it. Those little things. For me, vitamin C, a teaspoon of vitamin C 3 times a day. If you actually research some of the research that's coming out now with, you can only take in this much vitamin C. That's not true. Like for me, that massively helped me as well on the last part of my journey. So you got to try things, like you said. It's each their own. Try different things. Try different elements of whatever, man, get and make yourself get better. Find what works for you because you can make yourself better. You can't, no matter what you got, you can make yourself better, man, through food and through these things. 100%, man, 100%.
Yeah. And so did I hear that you're going to try break a few more world records?
I am. Yes, I'm on 16. So my dream is to get to 25 world records before I retire. And I got 4 more world records coming up in January. So hopefully it's going to be a great start to 2019. Back end of January, I'm going for 4 more basketball world records. So hopefully take me to 20.
Fantastic. Tom, for anyone who's listening here who's got a child who's a keen basketball player, maybe wants to be NBA one day, or even a street performer, or a stage performer like yourself, any quick little 1 or 2 tips that you would give that listener?
I think, for me, it's just like, obviously practice makes perfect, but perfect practice makes perfect. So, for me, you've got to, get to coaching, get to the whole structure of whatever game it is that you want to play, learn the whole thing. And then, the most important, let your mind be creative and just, get out there, play. I take a basketball everywhere, man. When I was younger, I literally, I'd be sleeping with a basketball, dude. I'd take it to school, dribbling everywhere. It just came with me everywhere. And once you've made that decision, I want to be a professional basketball player. I didn't go out. I didn't drink. I didn't go and do these things. I balled every day, 8 hours a day. If I wasn't playing, through school, after school. So yeah, just obviously practice. I didn't have much support. I didn't have, the teachers were like, you're not tall enough. You're only 5'10", I can't jump, I had all that kind of stuff. I didn't have any support from my family. It was literally me and my mindset. I'm good enough to make it, and, it's been my career now for 15 years. So yeah, believe in yourself, work hard, get to coaching, get the skills and the grounding that you need, and then let your mind explode and be creative and be different. Be different, man, so, and then you're going to get noticed. So, work hard. My hashtag is, it's dream, believe, achieve, you just get it out there and make it happen because anything's possible.
Yeah. Well, I love your mindset. You're definitely, you're going to finish off that 15%, no problem. I can see that happening and just crush those world records.
Yes, man.
Yeah. So at this stage here, I usually ask, are there any sort of online channels or social media places that you're more prevalent on that you'd like to share for listeners to follow you?
Yeah, for sure. Listen, I'm a basketball entertainer at heart. So, I do the street basketball, which is really fun, and I embarrass players. It's very much like the Harlem Globetrotter style of basketball. But I also do tutorials if you want to learn the tricks and learn these fancy moves to go to school and, whatever. I do tutorials on my YouTube channel. I'm always shooting high end videos where I get to take over beautiful places like theaters and Navy ships for like a cool basketball videos. So we do some really cool stuff like that. So my YouTube channel really is kind of where like all the main big videos go. But if you want to catch like day-to-day stuff, where I'm up to, all the events, all the TV shows, behind the scenes, all that kind of stuff, you head over to my Instagram and Facebook. So it's just Conman Basketball. Conman Basketball. If you just type in Conman Basketball along the platforms, hopefully maybe you can drop some links down. You'll find me, and just have some fun. Have fun watching me do some cool basketball things around the world. It's good fun.
Yeah, I'll definitely link to all of those for the listeners. Tom, I just want to say thank you again for sharing your personal story. And yeah, I mean, as you said, you haven't told anyone this. I didn't quite realize that no one else knows. So thank you again for actually feeling that you can open up and share your story, because that's how we're all going to learn, from listening to other people recover from these things. So
well, that's part of me doing it. So it's been one hell of a journey, my man. Really, emotionally, spiritually, everything. So for me to be able just to, like I said, just for somebody to go through what I do and just have that knowledge of just seeing an acupuncture, for me, if I can just help one person, it's been worth it.
Fantastic. Well, again, thank you so much for sharing that.
Right. Thank you very much for having me. See you soon.